Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. This is Robert Everest. This is the Everest Effect. Today is a kind of, I don't want to say sad day. It's not that sad. But my producer had to go and visit some family, so I'll be taking this road alone with you today. Not such a terrible thing. Here we are together. I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is definitely it's one of those times where we hope that we can get together and actually find a reason to give thanks. Whoa, that was weird. I hope that we can actually find a way to get some gratitude in our lives. And Thanksgiving, although it probably has some really interesting background, the Indians and what happened to them and, the Native Americans. But with all the chaos in the world that we're experiencing right this second, I mean, let's find something to be gratitude about. Let's just have something to have some gratitude about. Did you find something today in your life that you were grateful for? Did you wake up, like I've said in so many episodes, like I've said to countless entrepreneurs, corporate heads, musicians, actors, direct sales people that were working directly underneath me? Did you give them some reason to be grateful? Do you have a reason to be grateful? I know I sure do. Each and every day when I wake up, I'm grateful because there are so many people in the world that didn't have that opportunity. And with the world in the state of fear and arrest that it's in right now, especially I live in Los Angeles, they just shut everything down again. I mean, think about that. Shutdown after shutdown after shutdown. Who can live like this? But if you can find a way out of that with a little bit of gratitude, I can guarantee the light will shine brighter on you. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about something that is probably the most fascinating and most misunderstood part on the law of manifestation. We've all heard this. It's an echo chamber out there. I think back in 2006, Oprah Winfrey had broadcast to the world. I think her name was Mrs. Rhodes, had put out a movie. It was called The Secret. And there was a lot of mystique behind The Secret, How can I manifest the perfect life, the perfect job, the perfect spouse, the perfect dreams, whatever they are? How can I do that? And in The Secret, they talked about the law of attraction. So if you haven't tuned into what the law of attraction is, that's okay. We could take you on that journey. But if you already know, then this is kind of a refresher course, and we'll talk about that. But what they left out of that movie and what so many, let's say, sages, teachers, motivational speakers, what they typically do is they leave something out that's very fundamental. It's not so much what you think about, but it's what you feel about that creates your attraction. And I like to give you this very simple analogy. Have you ever wanted something and you had someone say to you, so what is it that you want? Let's say a car. Let's use a car as an example. And they say, what do you want? I really want a really nice car. Did you define what that car was, or did you say, I want a nice car? I'll give you an example. I had a friend a long time ago who said, we were having this discussion, and she said to me, I've kind of I feel really good about myself. And I said, that's great. Have you decided what you want? And she said, I did. I want bags and bags of money. I want so much money that I'm counting it all day long. I want to count plethora of money. And I laughed. I thought that was really cool, Who wouldn't want bags of money strapped over their shoulder to be able to sit down at any time, like that little duck, I think that was in Daffy Duck long time ago on TV, where he said, mine, 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 I'm a happy miser, as he found all the treasures of gold. But when she said that to me, I didn't know, I think, enough to remind her of how specific she needed to be about the very thing that she wanted. Within about 8 months, she did get exactly what she asked for. She said, I wanted bags and bags of money, and she ended up working in a bank. That's right. She ended up working inside of a bank, and guess what? She got bags of money, and she got to count every single dollar for that bank. And that's what this episode is about. If you define what you want, if you speak the definition down to the letter and you feel what you want, then the likelihood that things around you will begin to materialize and start to draw to you like a magnet is very likely. So that likelihood starts to go up, not down. I think that we as human beings, we're so used to the negative. So I've had so many conversations like this. I had another friend. I like to use the analogies of my friends because they were my greatest tools to learn from. And I had another friend where I said to him, "What do you want?" And he said, "I really want a car." And I said, "Wow, that's awesome. What kind of car?" And he said, "I want a Maserati." Not that this is a Maserati plug. "I want a Maserati." And I said, "Wow, that's really cool." And right after he said that, he followed that up with, "But I can't afford one right now." Did you hear that? "But I can't afford one right now." So while he was planting a seed, a defined thing that he wanted, which we didn't even talk about the color, we didn't talk about the style, we didn't talk about the model, we didn't talk about the engine size, we didn't talk about the color of the interior or what type of leather it was. We didn't talk about all of the definitions of that object of his desire. He just gave a broad stroke, "I want a Maserati," and then he killed it with, "But that would cost me a lot of money." So when I asked him, "What do you mean? You want a Maserati and you're worried about the amount?" I didn't ask you if you couldn't pay for something. I just asked you what you want. And he thought about it for a second and he said, "No, actually, I could tell you what I want. I want a blue Maserati. I want tan interior. I want 16-inch tires. I want, a souped-up engine, a spoiler, some racing stripes." And he started to define it. But again, he said, "But that's kind of just a dream. I couldn't afford that." And I said to myself, this is a time where I can learn that the very words that we speak, the very feelings that we have, must be in line with a desire that we desire. An example would be a seed. If I said to you, "What kind of fruit would you like to plant in your garden?" And you said, "You know what? I'll take an orange." Well, there's a lot of types of oranges, aren't there? Tons. There's mandarins and, cuties and, we can go on with the varieties of oranges. But he just said, "an orange." Have you had that opportunity in your life where you said something you really wanted, but you didn't define it? And when it didn't come, you said, "This stuff doesn't work." Had he said, "I want a mandarin orange tree," then up out of the ground from the seed of a mandarin orange tree would grow a mandarin orange tree. And that's something that we need to understand as the tool for manifestation. If we were using the analogy of the seed being the most important factor, because the seed represents growth. The seed represents, it starts from nothing and it arrives as something, right? It's effortless. But if you don't know what you're planting, then maybe you won't get what you wanted. We know definitely that an orange is not a grapefruit, and a grapefruit is not a pumpkin. So if I hand you a bag of seeds and I give you a pumpkin seed, what will grow? A pumpkin. If I give you a mandarin seed, what will grow? A mandarin. If I give you an acorn, what will grow? An oak tree. That's the reality of the actual definition of the seed. So let's bring that back into the human. If we plant seeds of uncertainty, if we plant seeds of doubt, if we plant seeds that we're not sure what we want to grow out of that garden, then it's a crapshoot. And when you don't get the pumpkin because you didn't ask for the pumpkin seed, and you say, "Well, why is this orange tree growing here? I didn't ask for the orange tree. I was thinking about a pumpkin," but you didn't define that you wanted the pumpkin seed, then you're left with your own device of saying, "This doesn't work, my life is just like this, and perhaps this is not for me. Perhaps I never will have that." Or you keep coming up with more reasons why your garden is not going to grow. Does that make sense? In my life, I try to curate my thoughts. And I know that that's very difficult. No one really wants to wake up any day and say, I have to monitor every single word that I say. However, if you want a real, robust, beautiful, growing plant out of your garden, then you must pay attention to it in such a way that you do not lose the plant. You have to water it. You have to care for it, give it sunshine, adore it, talk to it, breathe on it. And one thing you must never do is try to dig up the roots to see how it's growing. It's effortless. We know when we plant something in the ground. Have you any doubt that if I bring you some seeds for a plant, if you plant them, do you really doubt that it will grow? Probably not. There are laws in the universe, and we are no different just because we're capable of conscious thought, which interferes tremendously with the effortlessness of the ebb and flow of the energetic universe. Think about what I just said. We are the reasons why we stop the effortless flow. It's not the plant that stopped. Of course, there is nothing guaranteed. There are no perfects in life. And you can plant 10 different types of roses and maybe only one will grow. But the likelihood that all of them won't grow if you didn't have the right soil, if you didn't have the right air, if you had the right soil, if you had the right air, if you gave it water, if you loved it, if you tended to it, if you cared for it, and you left it alone to grow effortlessly, it would. And that's our issue as human beings. And we can see that all around us. I'm sure you have friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, enemies that you've probably listened to, and you just want to knock them around sometimes because all they do is find the ways out of growing the plant. I can't do this because it's too much money to buy that car. Or if I buy that car, I have to worry that when I'm parking it in a parking lot, somebody's going to open the door up and they're going to knock into my door, and that's going to cost me a couple of $1,000s to fix, especially if it's an expensive car like a Maserati. Have you had that in your life? If you have, then you're like everyone else. Most of us have that sort of built into our behavior, but that's not something that we can't fix. It's not something that our magnanimous human being, our energy, our godlike self cannot fix. You don't need to look far. Look around you. So much is showing you that we are miraculous. So if you believe that we have the utmost potential as a species amongst all the species of animals and plants and insects and reptiles in the world, if you believe that we are of a higher evolution, just like the worm is not quite as evolved as, say, a rabbit, and the rabbit is not quite as evolved as, say, a dog, and the dog is not quite as evolved as, say, you. Do you believe that? If you do, then it's time to start realizing what we can do to have anything that we desire. When we want to manifest the best, when we want to manifest the dream life, when we want to manifest our perfect spouse, our perfect friendships, our perfect job, oodles of money, it's as simple as planting the correct seed. If you are asking for oodles of money, define the amount. And also imagine yourself having it. Let me digress for a minute. If I came to your house with a big bag of gold and I put it down in front of you, plunk, here it is, bag of gold. And I said, listen, tomorrow when you wake up in the morning, that bag of gold is yours. It's there already, but that bag of gold is yours. I will guarantee you, if you weren't in fear that someone was going to come in and take your gold, that's part of the defining and feeling the positive side of what you want. If you removed the negatives surrounding the positive, I will almost bet that you're going to have a different stride in your walk. Your shoulders are going to be back. You're going to look excited. In fact, you may not even sleep all night. That's how incredibly invigorated you will become. Just because you knew that tomorrow morning when you wake up, that bag of gold that I personally brought there in the material world, I put it down, it was for you. The hardest thing for us is to see that bag of gold or whatever you want. I use the gold analogy because who doesn't like extra money? But whatever that desire is, if we don't define it first as if it's already on your counter, just waiting for you to wake up, then we suffer from always searching for it. Does that make sense? If I say to anyone, in the future, or I'll get to that later, or I hope someday I can have that, the universe responds in a way that says, okay, I will give you what you are commanding. If your commandment is that you will have it later, then you will perpetually have it later. You cannot have what you want now unless you live as if it already exists now. One of the strategies is to imagine yourself a gardener. Imagine yourself wanting to plant whatever type of crop that you want. If I choose the seed that is exactly what I want, that's what precisely will grow out of the ground. It won't come up a weed. It won't come up a giraffe. It'll come up an apple tree, or it'll come up broccoli or corn, whatever you decided that you wanted to plant. You see how much confidence you would have as a gardener if you went down to the local store and you bought some seeds and you say, I want cucumber seeds. I want to buy some cucumbers. And you planted them in the ground. Would you doubt that the cucumbers were coming? No, but what you might do, you might say, oh, wow, I wonder if the insects are going to attack my crop. That's a negative that you are putting there before it's happened. I used to have a little thing that we used to say when I was in the direct sales business and teaching direct sales. Right? It was a very hardcore lifestyle of getting what you want. But one thing we used to say is worry is extra money, interest paid on trouble before it's due. Did you get that? If I'm thinking constantly about something that hasn't happened, how can I possibly have that garden growing properly? If I'm digging a trench around the cucumbers every day, and every day I'm out there smoothing out the soil and touching it and hoping that there's no bugs going to infiltrate my new crop, I might just kill off the crop before it sprung out. But if I allow it to breathe, if I believe that when I planted that cucumber seed, that it was going to grow, if I believed that whatever my dream is, the car, the spouse, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the friendship, the job, the money, was already en route to me, that means that it's not in the future. There is nothing around it. There is no negative. I just know. Just like I know that a cucumber seed develops into a cucumber. Does that make sense? Because I have lived my life and I have taught thousands of people that the one thing missing from them, the one tiny secret that's missing, is to remove the doubt of whatever it is that you are planting. That's all. Manifestation is a law. The law of attraction is the same law as the law of gravity. The difference is that we have the popular consensus and we have scientists and astronauts and people that we would love to think they know more than we do to tell us what gravity is. I will tell you that if you are someone that's massive, you're a giant 7'2", 280-pound giant, and you stand on the edge of a building and you take another person that's 86 pounds and he could blow away with the wind, and we push them both off the building, both of them are going to suffer a pretty nasty tragedy if they hit the cement. That's a fact. That means that law is what it is. We don't discount the law. We don't say, well, maybe today I'm going to float in the sky. Today I think I jump off a building. I can actually survive this one. I can fly away. No, our brain tells us gravity exists and I will smack down into the cement if I jump. If that thing from a high height falls and hits me in the head, it's going to hurt. That's gravity. It's the same reason why we don't, we have the laws of physics. We have the laws of electricity. Do we doubt them? Do we doubt the laws of electricity? If you were the most genius computer programmer in the world, I mean genius, you could write code with your eyes closed and one hand behind your back, and you could make code to rewrite itself. That's how smart you were. And you could build robotics to make humans. That's how smart you were. If you didn't turn the power on and you didn't allow the electricity to flow through, you wouldn't be able to create anything. So you have an utter confidence in the laws that surround you, that the collective conscious has pushed on you and told you this is law. Well, if you believe those laws, then you also must believe in the second law. In the third law, the law of attraction. But that law of attraction is a double-edged sword, you see, because if you believe that you can have this, but someone might come and take it, then you're right on both of those. Either way, you're right. If you say, I will have something, but I'm worried about somebody taking it away, you will have something and it will be taken away. Can you find a way inside of you to remove the external denial, the what if, the I don't think it can happen, this is not for me, only the rich get richer, poor people were meant to be in a state of poverty, I'll win the lotto, but I'll lose it tomorrow. If I have that brand new car, is someone going to hit me in the parking lot? I mean, there are no guarantees in life, folks. That's true. There aren't. And I'm not suggesting that if you specifically state every single item that you want with reverence, with certainty, without any negatives, that you will get everything you want. No, I don't believe that you will, because we're also living in a moving world. We're living in a world that is a constant state of movement. But I can almost be certain that you will get enough of what you want to create an inner joy for yourself, for your loved ones, for your community. So that when something happens to you, you'll be able to let it roll off your shoulders. The same way that a tree, when it's growing and it's hit by wind, it doesn't necessarily die. It just gets stronger and finds a way to build itself so that when the wind comes, it's tough. Its roots are there. Can you do that? That's what the message is today. If we really want the law of attraction in our lives, if we really want to attract the best life possible, then the first step must be planting the seeds of certainty. I am certain this tree will grow into what it is I planted. No matter what, this tree will grow. And that's a fact. Try it for yourself. Go to the local store and buy something that you like. Plant a seed. See if it grows into a bubblegum stick. It probably won't. And if it does, then you can come over here and knock me on the head. But I don't think that's what's going to happen, because you will realize that we are just the same. The only difference between us and that energetic world that's effortless, that's around us, that we barely take notice of, that old statement, stop and smell the roses, right? How many times have you heard that? Have you stopped and smelled the roses? If we take away the doubt, if we steal away the discrimination in ourselves, then we will be absolutely capable of growing from that tiny seed, that manifestation, from that little something that we don't even know what it is, right? You don't even do you know what a seed is? Do you even know how it grows? Yeah, of course we could see it on science channels, and we watch the little seed, it splits open, and then the little root goes down and the little bud goes up out of the soil and it looks for the light, and then photosynthesis starts and it starts to get its food, and the water comes in the earth, and then it just starts to grow, but it's effortless. Do you know what that seed is? It's like conception with humans. Do you really know how it's possible that a man and a woman could form from this sort of plasma, in a way, into something as incredible as you? If you don't know, you're like most of us. If you're one of these super genius scientists who are working at, one of these medical centers, maybe even you think you know, but you probably don't, because that's the magic that we are not entitled to know. Do you know why we're not entitled to know that magic? Because it doesn't matter. I don't care how it happens. I only care that it happens. I don't care how the seed splits open in the soil. I only care that it rises up and turns into a robust tree from which to pick the fruits from. That's what I want you to think about tonight. While you're enjoying your weekend, while you're having a good time with your friends and your family, I want you to remember in the back of your mind that you have the most power of anyone on planet Earth. This is your universe, and hers and his and them, and so on and so on and so on. And each of us have something inside of us that is a seed that can grow into not just one tree, but into a forest of success for whatever it is that we want. I want you to imagine yourself tonight when you go to sleep, having whatever it is that you desire. But I want you to become the gatekeeper of the negative thoughts, your conscious, your ego mind. Remember, we have two minds operating at one time. One of them is in the background. That's the one that keeps your respiration going when you're sleeping. That's the one that makes you not walk down the dark alley when you think there's something wrong there. That's the one that told so many people don't get on that plane because the plane might go down, and sure enough, something tragic happened and it prevented them. That's the one that seeks out the garden to give you. That's the superconscious, the unconscious. Have you ever been laying in a room and you were sleeping? Think about this for yourself. Have you ever laid down and you're sleeping, your eyes are closed, but something told you someone was staring at you? Maybe it was your mom, maybe it was your wife, maybe it was your husband, maybe it was your son, your daughter, your friend. And suddenly you snapped open your eyes and you were like, oh my God, I totally felt you there. Was that your conscious mind? The one that's awake, with your eyes open, capable of seeing the problems? Or was it your unconscious mind, the one that is all-knowing, the one that keeps you alive, the one that performs the magic trick on you when you go to sleep by cleaning out your cells? That's the mind that matters. But what you feed that mind, what you teach that mind, what you plant into that mind, it wants to give you precisely what you want. So if you're having a problem, say with a friend, let's say it's a girlfriend or it's a boyfriend, and you're having a problem and you say things like, she just won't stop yelling at me. Well, you're going to create more of she won't stop yelling at you. But if you change that from the teaching to the subconscious mind, I am going to find a way to get along with her because she means so much to me, or he means so much to me. Your subconscious mind will plant the seed of precisely what you want. And that mind will seek out, through the law of manifestation, your homeostasis, your perfect relationship. If it's money that you want, I've always told everybody, if money was the biggest problem in the world, we wouldn't have any problems. Believe it or not. Because money is effortless. Anyone can have money. Even the people that don't have any. That's why people say, rich or poor, it's a good thing to have money. But money is probably one of the simplest things to manifest. I think that we are the ones that stop the ideology of having. So if you want money, don't say, I want money, because you might walk over a quarter and pick it up. There's your money. You got it. What if you start saying, I want specifically this amount by this date? Have you ever tried to say that to yourself? Maybe you did and you came up short, but I'll guarantee you along the way of coming up short, you stopped yourself. You stopped yourself by saying, let's see, I started by telling myself that I'm going to have this money on the 27th of November, and now it's the 15th, and I don't see it coming. The moment that you said, I don't see it coming, your superconscious made sure that you didn't see it coming. That's the law of attraction. And it's one of the hardest fundamental things to understand about the law of attraction. So when they put out that movie, The Secret, while it was fascinating and it was really, really fantastic, pardon me, it was really, really fantastic, because it gave people this window into a world that so many people didn't know. And I give, bravo to those filmmakers for really trying to open up Pandora's box for you so you could really see inside of what this cosmic universe has to offer. But what they left out was the specifics. You have to be so specific about the seed you want to plant, or you will not get the plant you thought you needed. And if you do get it, you might attribute it to luck, which it probably is. If you don't get it, you'll attribute it to some other force that stopped you from getting it. And I'm here to tell you, we can have, be, and do anything that we want. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have it all, but we're going to have enough of it to make a difference in our lives. So tomorrow, get up, go to the store, get a seed, and look at the metaphor. Stare at the box of seeds. Choose the one you want. Pick the packet up. Open it and just know that effortlessly, if I plant this, if I nurture it, if I feed it the right material, if I pour Clorox bleach on my plant, it's going to die. If I pour clean water, probably going to live. Do that with your personal life, and you will see each and every day will become a better day than it was the day before. That much I can guarantee. Now, unfortunately, as I told you when I first got here, I said that I was alone, and that's okay. I'm alone in the room today, so I'm having to do a ton of stuff, that I maybe didn't even realize, like having to touch my phone to turn on and off the screen. But that's okay, because when my producer had to go back home, it is the holidays, I said, it's all right. What you gave me was so incredible that I can do this. And if the audience, if my guests that are with me tonight, and I'm your host, don't mind a little fumble here and a little fumble there, the message is really all that matters. I love each and every one of you because I love what I have from the universe. And that is a gift. When we say be present, be in the present, it's a gift. I want you to think about that. And I want you to plant your own seeds. And now I'm going to cue up some music. And I'm going to take you into the music of the Everest effect. Good night, all. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Robert Everest. Until next time, and don't think I'm kind of crazy. Real